PB, OptionMillionaires.com. Monday, July 20, 2015. S&P 500 futures are up almost 0.15% this morning. Yeah, there's no Greek crisis today to bring stock futures lower and get you some cheaper prices to get into the marketplace. You look, I brought this chart up back in September 2013 when we just started to break out. And you know what? The trend remains firmly entrenched to the upside regardless of the negative headlines that you see in financial media. MarketWatch.com, you know, if I could count how many times before the market opened and after, how many times they had Greece headlines just completely littered all over their main page. Nothing about earnings, corporations, stocks, buybacks, nothing of that sort. Just how Greece is going to crash this market. And the same thing we had when China was crashing. Oh, the China crash has just begun. And yet here we are, record high stock prices right around the corner for the S&P 500. Of course, on the heels of Google's gigantic day on Friday, the NASDAQ is just in record territory. Pull back here. Go back. The 20-year chart here for the NASDAQ 100 futures here continues to move into record territory. Nice spike last week. Spike we haven't seen quite a long time. Go figure. Imagine that. We have in the background China crashing and the Greece debt crisis really coming to a head. And stocks just shrug it off as they've done since the lows in March of 2009. So if you were long Google calls, congratulations to you. Google, the $600 calls. Last week, actually 2 weeks ago, we were at 10 cents. Last week went to $102. Woo! So if you just bought one contract, cost you $10 plus commission, would have been worth over 10 grand. Or if you bought 1,000 contracts, you're a millionaire. If you had sold right near the top, you can see up to almost $700 at the close. Of course, we talked about this. How the big stocks like Google get pegged was monthly options expiration. We'll get into that another time. We have earnings reports this week. Another thing to watch here is gold. JB at Option Millionaires been talking about gold and its swift decline. You can see the move it's having down today. Almost 2% when they opened gold futures last night. You can see it's 1.6% lower, but looks poised for continued downside. You can see the move up it's had really since the internet bubble back in 2000. Parabolic move. This is when everybody was telling you to buy gold. Buy gold. Save it. Put it away. Don't do anything with that gold because it's going to be worth twice as much. Oh, maybe not. And you can see the move it's having. Still in the liquidation phase. And support will be down at prior levels here. You can see this back in 2008, 2009. We had those spikes up. That's where support is going to be. All right, let's look at some charts here. Some charts. Wynn Resorts this weekend, Barron's. Pretty positive comments about it in one of the articles. I don't recall which one, but I kind of agree with them because if you look, it said something I've been saying for a couple months now with Wynn Resorts. It's been pulling back. The analysts continue to get very negative on the name. And at what point the analysts do indeed start to turn around and say, hey, this is a buy. Macau is turning around. The stock is already going to be at 150, 160. So this is something I'm going to look to get some calls in. Also, look at Boeing. Come fly with me. I don't know why my volume so high here. But if you look, breakout to the upside, talked about a move to new all-time record highs. JP Morgan Chase agreed. $175 price target. I think that's what we're going to head into. We're going to fly to 175 heading into the summer and fall of 2015. Boeing! Also, if you want to look at a chart that made a lot of money last week, Baidu, I was talking about the move down to support. Not sure why we can't get that chart up. There we go, folks. Hit support. Look at that spike we have to the upside. It's just a bounce before we head back into this channel. Back in the channel again. Or are we going to get the bounce? Continuation to the upside, break this 210 level, and possibly head up to 230, 240. Pretty bearish, though, if you look at this topping pattern. We have left shoulder head, right shoulder, pulled down. We had this intermediate bounce to about 215 before we finally pull back here. But if you look at these wicks here, you can see the wick to the downside quickly reversed. So the longer the wick down here, that means buyers stepped in. They love this price where we have the body of these candles. And so we see if we get some support here over 200 this week. Up to 210. Something to keep an eye on. Also on Netflix. Look at the breakout. So that's so tough here. You say, oh, let me short this stock. Oh, this looks great. Look at this breakout. This is a perfect time for it to pull back. And, you know, the same thing they were saying back when the previous earnings breakout occurred. we might get some consolidation. I think this is the more likely scenario. So we have the spike up into a channel, and we're going to consolidate and put in a nice flag. Now, the last one lasted almost a year and a half. Not sure we're going to get it this time, but something to keep an eye on there. If you're trading Netflix options, I think the premiums are going to die down as it consolidates a bit. Let's look at a couple other charts here before I call it a morning. Apple earnings, I believe tomorrow after the bell, you can see the beautiful support levels held. Looking for a move up to record highs, and actually the last time it was back over record highs was its previous earnings report where we had a big spike and we sold off to believe a week and a half ago. We were under 120 on Apple. Pretty mind-boggling. Some other trades looking to put on IBM. I brought this up, this channel that it was in really since the middle of 2011 all the way through until its earnings collapsed last year. It's trying to get back in this channel. I think the earnings report could send it up even further into this channel to the 190 level. So that would imply a move ultimately up over $200 some point this year, which would be pretty wild. I know the analysts are pretty bearish on the stock, and actually the last, 7 or 8 earnings reports have not been so good, and that's been somewhat reflected in the stock. So obviously, there's going to be a little bit of a risk for further downside. This could just be a short-lived bounce. I might get some calls here because the options are pricing at about a 3% move heading into earnings. I believe that's tomorrow. There's always tomorrow for IBM. All right, UPB. You know what? Let me cut it there. You know, a couple more charts here, and then we'll get out of here. Yahoo also reports earnings. Look at this, off support. Like it up to the 4250 level, the 4250, and then Microsoft. Look at this, coming up to resistance. We'll see earnings coming out. 2 very inexpensive option trades you can put on for Microsoft and Yahoo. All right. I'll see you in the chat room at optionmillionaires.com. Let's look for that $1 million trade like last week, the Google calls. Even Baidu. Got the Baidu 195s. Those were in the Option Millionaires private Twitter account. 30 cents. Those went to $5. Woohoo! All right. I'll see you in the chat room. Everyone have a great trading day. Start of the week. Whatever you want to call it. May the 20th be with you. All right. Goodbye.